Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. We've got 3 brand new decks for you, an exclusive deck that hit top 5 on the Infinite Leaderboard. FAK Crazy created a new deck that's really cool. It's actually what I've been playing all day in Conquest. It's super great, and an amazing deck from the great den of Marvel Snap Zone. In addition, we have a brand new feature for you that I think you're going to love. We've got some White Widow hot takes. What are the best players in Marvel Snap saying about White Widow after one day? Well, we have that information for you. We've also got so much more for you in this video, but before we go any further, I want to tell you very quickly about 2 tournaments. We've got the Snap Grand Prix happening this Saturday and Sunday. It's you heard that right, $1,000 prize pool for that tournament. You can join completely for free on the Snap Judgments Discord. Please check that out. We also have the Snap Judgments League happening. That is a $1 entry with a $700 prize pool where you play 1 game a week against some of the best and most famous players in Marvel Snap. Winners of each pod will have a top 4. Winner of that top 4 in each pod moves on to a top 8 with even more prizes. So please check these out over on the Discord for the Snap Judgments League. It's linked in the description to this and every video. Our first deck, this is what Den says is Widow at its best. And whenever Den says this is the best version of something, he's not saying that he likes it best. What he's ultimately telling us is the stats on Marvel Snap Zone are telling us that this is completely great, which makes a lot of sense to me. This deck runs really heavy on fairly expensive cards. It's got 3 5s, a 6, and a 4, but it's also got Pixie, so when it does Pixie, it's got a reasonable chance of one of them being cheap, and if you can get one of these cards to be cheap, you are in absolute heaven. There is so much power here. The Valkyrie here is a real stroke of genius. It works amazingly with Hood/Demon, and I'm a big fan of it if they don't fill a lane, right? Like, people are giving up a reasonable number of White Widow lanes. You can, like, that White Widow will still end up with 0 power after you Valkyrie is completely hilarious. You're giving more power to the Ham, to the Pixie, sometimes to that Nebula, and of course, sometimes to that Void as well. It's a great way to win games of Snap. Alright, you can find Den on twitter.com/Den_CCG. Den is also the head writer over at Marvel Snap Zone, Marvel Snap's biggest and best website. I write articles there too. Just a quick reminder for anyone who missed it yesterday, I wrote an article ranking every upcoming Spotlight cache that we know of in Marvel Snap. So for this deck, Annihilus can be Death Strike. I'm aware that's a Series 4 card. I don't know what to tell you. White Widow could also be Death Strike. That might just be how I would replace it. It could honestly also be Ant-Man or Green Goblin. Perfectly fine. Cannonball would have to be Shang-Chi. Not as good, but works again just fine. Pixie is needed, but Mobius, I don't know why I wrote Coulson. It's even happening in writing now. I don't know why, but Coulson and Mobius are the same word in my head. But Mobius can be Luke. Luke is pretty good here because that lets you Valkyrie a little more freely. You are taking some risk with your Pixie, but you don't always see Pixie into Mobius anyway. Ham and Nebula can be Iceman and Sunspot. Again, no major losses here. And Red Hulk can be Magneto. And again, Red Hulk is very much a better card than Magneto, but Magneto also has some uses that Red Hulk doesn't in terms of, like, screwing opponents over as far as what lanes they want to play in. Alright, so Den says this is the best Pixie right now. So turn 1 Nebula over Hood over Ham. If I don't have a 2-drop to play, I will play Hood first, and then play both the Demon and Nebula on turn 2 fairly often. Otherwise, I'm going Nebula over Hood over Ham. Turn 2 Pixie over Widow, and again, the second you Pixie, turn-by-turn guides are useless. Pixie will mess up your cost, and then you're just doing whatever you can with whatever weird cost you have. Turn 3 is Mobius, and that's generally better than 2+1. Mobius is a prio if you Pixie on 2, or you might Pixie on 4. If you're not going to play either of those, and your opponent is clearly playing a deck where Mobius doesn't matter. For example, if they're playing a Hela deck, just feel free to skip the Mobius and go with the 2+1. Turn 4 is Sentry, or 1s and 2s. I really like Sentry in this deck. It is super important because you have Annihilus and Valkyrie. You should lose priority with Sentry, which means that Valkyrie is very likely to win a lane, and you can get away with playing that Valkyrie on turn 5 to basically, as they try and fill that lane so as to not eat a -10 Void, you're just saying, okay, all that's 3, now I can play something reasonable size there and steal that location on cheap for 6. The other play is obviously Annihilus on turn 5. And then turn 6 is Red Hulk or Valkyrie and Demon or Cannonball and Demon, and any of those work perfectly fine to win the game. Remember, if you Valkyrie a full lane and then play Demon after, Demon will obviously still have its 6 power, and then win you that very lane. This deck is really, really great. I think that it is worth playing because I've been playing today's decks a lot. I wanted to make sure I understood White Widow because I think White Widow is setting up to be a fairly controversial card, and I want to give an informed take. I was like the high person on Cannonball in the community, but I also ended up coming down on listening to others over myself and saying don't get it, and I feel bad about that because I should have trusted my gut more, but I didn't. Right? So I don't want that to happen with White Widow. I want to not only have others' claims, I want to build up my own sample size so that it's big enough that I have my own. All right, please hit that sub, like, and comment. We bring you at least 3 brand new decks every single weekday here on the show. No one brings you as many decks. No one covers as many topics. No one goes as in-depth as we do. If you want to get better at Marvel Snap, this is the channel for you. We even do card replacements for almost every deck as a way to make sure those with lower collection levels can still compete. Please hit that sub, like, comment, help us grow. We greatly appreciate it. And if you're already subbed and you would like to help us, the easiest free way to do that is make sure you watch the whole video, even if you just let it run. Once you get past the parts you're interested in, I don't expect everyone to be interested in every part. Watching longer really does help the channel out. All right, questions of the day. Slush Zombie asks if I saw the return of the great TLSG. Yeah, I did. TLSG is one of the biggest creators of Marvel Snap, like 40,000 subscribers, and also one of the nicest people I know. When I was tiny, like I'm talking like 200 subs, TLSG came and found me and was like, hey, can I feature one of your decks? Can we play each other on a video? And like TLSG is just the nicest person. If you don't know TLSG, I cannot recommend you follow him enough. Extremely kind and fun and smart person. Also, when I first started doing this type of video where I was trying to find the best decks, of all the major creators, it's based like TLSG was the one who was most often likely to scoop me on a deck. All right, Rafke, not sure which, wonders if Shuri worked across all lanes, if she'd be the best. So let's start with, Shuri used to be, if you play her, the next card you played anywhere would get double power. So what you would do is you would play Shuri anywhere, and then you would have Cosmo down from turn 3, and then you would play that Shuri card on the Cosmo, and then you would Taskmaster armor and get it. The question is, would the main beneficiary be Galactus? No, I don't think so. I think the main beneficiary would be basically Hope Summers and Red Hulk, and then you would re-add Red Skull, and you wouldn't have to bother with any Vision nonsense. I think Galactus would be great. It would really, really help Galactus. We all should recognize, because it happened already, how powerful a Galactus at 10 power is with his current decks, because when he was 7, he was incredible. So if he's 10, he's obviously going to be even better. It will be a very good and very powerful deck, and it will be prominent in the meta, but I think Shuri Red Skull is just enough better that that's where it would still be the best. Someone asked me like a week ago what Token Tuesday versus completing albums, what we were looking at. Cool. There are certain albums that are almost as good as just buying Token Tuesdays. It's rare, but a couple of them are about as good. The ones that have really, really high value in the second spot, you can go check those if you want. Now, that is true if you're looking only for Series 4 and Series 5 cards. If you're looking for Series 4 cards, Token Tuesdays are still almost always better. All good? I had Lauren run the numbers. I'm begging her to write an article because she went completely nuts, and it was so in-depth, and like it was brilliant because she's brilliant. So I've been like genuinely begging her, please, please, please write this article and break it down for everybody. But Token Tuesdays comes out ahead, but not by as much as we would think. And there are some bundles, the more expensive ones and the ones with lower value, right? The ones that have more 1,200 gold variants are worth it. Big Mike Askers, Big Mike Askers, what counters Junkers? This counters Junk. This, I'm crediting Gaming with Flash. Everyone has this deck. This is like a deck that people don't have. Gaming with Flash X is one of my favorite YouTube/Twitch streamers. He's a friend. Met him at Brookland recently. So I wanted to shout him out. He recently hit top 1,000 with this deck. Yes, you do need Lady Deathstrike yes, Lady Deathstrike really puts it over the top for the Junk meta. But if you're having trouble beating Junk, this deck beats the piss out of most Drunk. Most Drunk. Jeez, I don't know what just happened. I just couldn't speak for 2 minutes there. I'll get back on it now. It beats most Junk. Alright, our next deck is Batman 99's Smashy Move. Batman 99 is one of the top 10 to 20 players on the Infinite Leaderboard every season. That level of consistency always, always, always impresses the crap out of me. It is very hard to consistently stay that high on the leaderboards as the meta changes. Batman 99 has been playing this deck for this season. It looks like a silky smooth deck, but like many of the current versions of the deck, it cut the silk part. What the real innovations here are is it re-added Captain Marvel and Magneto. I think, and it's got Mobius in case any nonsense, like Mobius and Shang are its tech choices. Feel free to, if your pocket meta is different enough to require different meta choices, don't run Mobius and Shang-Chi. Choose whatever tech makes sense for your local meta. All right, Batman 99 is a top ladder player. If you would like a cheaper version of this, please check Tuesday's video. If you don't have a lot of these cards, Tuesday has a full breakdown. It's the very first thing in Tuesday's video from our friend Psychotic Wolf, who's a wonderful player in his own right. All right, so this deck peaked in the top 5 of the Infinite Leaderboard. I know I watch Top play, I watch Woody play, I watch other top streamers play. I've seen .geo play, like enough top players play. Staying that high in the leaderboard getting that high in the leaderboard is absolutely amazing. It is so difficult. So huge props for this. Turn 1, Kitty over Nightcrawler. Turn 2, Angela over Jeff. Turn 3, Hope is generally better than Gladiator. At that point, I'd play Angela over Mobius, but it depends on the meta, right? If I realize they're playing negative, all of a sudden Mobius is my 1000% priority with the snap before. It changes based on what's happening. Now, I will also play Hope and then Mobius on turn 4, if possible, against a Destroy deck. That's generally what I want to do. They're going to Death Strike that nowadays, though, and there's not too much you can do about it. Turn 4, Captain Marvel is better than a bunch of cheap stuff, is better than Gladiator. You want that bunch of cheap stuff so you can sort of go off on turn 5. Because on turn 5, what you'd like to do is drop a 6-drop and then some of your other cheap stuff, but you need to be able to play a lot on Hope to do that. But Captain Marvel just gives you the Magneto or Red Hulk and covers you if they Shang you fairly well. Turn 5, Vision, if you didn't see that Hope. If not, Magneto or Red Hulk. You can also Captain Marvel and a 1 at that point. And then turn 6, Magneto or Red Hulk, whichever wins you the game. And that's how you play this one. All good? All right, one last look at this deck before we move on. I think it's really cool, really powerful. And again, featuring things with my new Captain Marvel that I got because I have so many hips makes me happy. All right. Oh, also, timeout before I go forward because we got something cool next. Thank you to Batman99 for exclusively giving me this deck so that I could share it with the Marvel Snap community. Top players that share their decks, it always means the world to me. All right. So, White Widow came out 2 days ago. I asked a bunch of top players. I said, give me a sentence. Tell me what you think of White Widow. These are all top 100-ish players. Some of them are top 5 or 10-ish players. What do you think of White Widow at the top of the meta right now? So, Ava Zord. Ava is a Brazilian player, friend of ours, genuinely great player. Says White Widow is good, but hard to play on ladder right now. She's in every deck, or everyone is running a hard counter to her. So, okay, makes sense, right? Like, you've seen a lot of Destroy and a lot of Junk, and everyone's running a Nihilus if they have it, so that makes White Widow significantly worse right now. That makes perfect sense. Den says, it doesn't win you games, it's hard to say how necessary the card is. Okay, my question is how much of that is the contextual because of what Ava said? I don't have a good answer for that. Lambie thinks she's just great in Clog. She's the 2-drop Clog once. That makes sense to me. There isn't otherwise a 2-drop that Cloud really loves unless it's also trying to run like Mockingbird nonsense. So, okay. These are where we get a little more detailed. One more before we get a little more detailed. Top, like, 5-ish player, Sizer, I think he's ranked number 6 or 7 right now, says Loki deals with it, but 10 out of 10 card. Sizer also, I believe, has it in the current Loki build. So, like, it has a lot of leeway. If it's in Loki, Loki just runs the best cards that are most disruptive to the opponent. Spyro _ZA, if you want to check him out. Again, one of the best players in the frickin' world. And this is what actually convinced me that I think she's worth it, as I've been waffling, because it's really hard to evaluate her in the current meta. She's a 2/6 when she works, right? Or she's a 2/2 Green Goblin. When her thing goes off, she's still putting something on your opponent's side of the board that has 0, right? And you're still getting 2 power in that location. So she's fundamentally a 2-power Green Goblin. That convinced me that I think she's pretty damn good. Gnome, our friend Gnome, Gnome __ plays. Good addition to Clog. The board space is better than the -4, but Annie is everywhere, so she's a liability without Professor X. Again, that makes perfect sense. The mirror issue. Is she going to be such a good card that mirrors forever keep her down? It's entirely possible that that's the case, right? If she's so good that Annihilus has to be everywhere. Well, she's meta warping, and then she's really good, but you can get away with not playing her because she's so good that other people don't have her. That other people, can't effectively use her because of the meta. Fine, but even without the -4, her board space take-up is so powerful. And I think that board space take-up, while putting power on your side, is extremely, extremely strong. It's very immediately frustrating when people curve her into Debris or her into Goblin, right? If you've had that happen, you know the feeling. I'm leaning that she's worth it and probably going to be one of the best cards of the season, obviously, after Red Hulk. All right. Crazy to move. FAK Crazy made a new deck. FAK Crazy seemingly didn't play a bunch today because his snap points it went down a little bit early in the day and then just didn't move all day. So it would seem that Crazy didn't play much today, but Crazy has fallen out of first place again. We'll see if he reclaims, because he's been in first place longer, I think, this season than almost anyone has in any season. So this is Crazy's move list. This is the other one I tested the crap out of because I was like, there's no way this is good. It's great. I was wrong. This is really powerful, and it tends to beat other junk really well, even without Annihilus or anything else. It says, okay, it's basically an okay, let's do this deck, and it runs Howard. All right, so you can find Crazy at twitter.com/crazymsnap. He also has a Telegram. A lot of the international players use Telegram to show game stuff. So I watched Crazy play a game with this on Telegram. It was really cool. So Howard can be Iceman. Howard's like not actually important. Neither is Nightcrawler. They're good, but they're just extra like ways to figure out, like, they're your good play amplifiers, right? Iron Lad can be Jubilee, like, especially if you have Howard. That works basically perfectly fine as a replacement. White Widow can be a Goblin or just a good powered 2. I had my best White Widow game when my opponent Legioned. They managed to turn 4 Legion everything into the bounce location, the location that says everything you play bounces here. So I just put a bunch of Widow's Bites all over their side of the board and won. That was pretty nice. Widow's Kisses, excuse me. Red Hulk can be Magneto here. As usual, that's an effective change. I think Red Hulk is better. I think Magneto is fine. Hope is needed. And Jeff can be Lizard, Medusa, or Scarlet Witch. I'm big on Scarlet Witch in this meta, although Magic is on the downswing because no one wants to get junked and have no board space and then have a 7th turn. All right, this was the rank 1 player most of the season. Again, we'll see if he gets back there. We'll see if he plays tomorrow. So, turn 1, Howard or Nightcrawler. I tend to prioritize Howard, but hey, either one makes sense. Turn 2, Widow over Jeff. Turn 3, Hope is better than Wave, but I will happily wave into a leader. I don't always want to wave into a Red Hulk, but I will, especially if I'm going to turn 5 Professor X to protect it. Turn 4, if Hope, you play Lad or Jeff and Nightcrawler. If you played Wave, you play Red Hulk or leader. Turn 5 is obviously Sandman or X. If you played on Hope, it can also be your Red Hulk or leader turn. And then turn 6 is obviously Red Hulk or leader. You're going to have to work around and do math. The board will be crowded and leader is complicated to use, but after Sandman, leader is extraordinarily powerful. Just super powerful. All right, I love this deck. I think this deck is a blast. This is one of the best Howard decks. It's probably not as good a use of Howard as the ongoing decks that used to run him, the ongoing Tribunal decks that used to run him. But like outside of that, this is the best Howard's been. It's really, really nice to like know you'll top deck leader or Red Hulk. Should I Sandman? Should I try and Professor X? Also, I guess Howard could be Daredevil probably pretty damn well with this deck as well. But that's how this works. All good? I think this is a very cool and very strong deck that you should try out. And it's not really that expensive, right? Almost everything here is replaceable, I think, except for Hope. So give it a try. All right, certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with on-air things. We've got Abigail Giesland, Mandatory Burnout, Cables, David G. Wingfield, Direwolf, LAB, Fothor Newman, Good Dog Gamer, Inc., Jay Navarrete, J.D. McDonaldino, who with the deck we shared yesterday, that Lambie deck, won a King of the Hill tournament, Keratixley, Koiray, Pyrophoros, The Goat Seeker, Denman Falcon, check him out on YouTube, Doku, Philip Ratkovich, who has really cool brews. Oh, so does Good Dog Gamer. I just retweeted Good Dog Gamer brew. That's so good. I'm putting it in, I think, weekend mission decks tomorrow. Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, Rob Silverman, Juan Diego Lebed, The Bizza, X-Force V, Skippy G. Yes, they do rhyme. Snap Judgments League Season 1 champion Tommy Nyquist, Black Dahlia, The Great Kazoo, Jessica Gamble, Ryan Wood, Kev C. Hoda, Luna Chris, Louis Antunes, Mod Supreme Models, Fuzzy Dunlop, not Dunlap, I'm an idiot, Spectrumix, Who, DJ Mikey Hijinks, Matt H, my bad, No Flex, Ocularis, Greg Sterry, Pretty Damn Chill, Seamus, hi Seamus, Spike Jones, worth checking out on YouTube, just got 100 subs, congrats, Two Ties, The Pirate King himself, Tucker, The Homie Min, check him out as Rito in Disguise, he's doing so much great work, doing coaching, helping people out, making videos, and of course Gunny T, where the T stands for, he's going to be on the podcast we record the night that you watch this. Now, before we go, there's an OTA later. I should have said this earlier. Anyone still watching, there's an OTA later. I'm not doing a second video. I'm back to work after my surgery, and life is intensely busy. First thing tomorrow morning, you will have your OTA thoughts. I promise. Cool? Tomorrow morning's video will come with OTA thoughts, and then there will be another breakdown of the OTA on the podcast. You have my word. Hit that sub, hit that like, hit that comment. Show some very kind love. If you're interested in the tournaments or showing some more support, check out the Patreon. See you tomorrow. My wife's going to bed now. Peace.